Hello everyone, my name is Henry, and my topic today is behavioral responses of migrating humpback whales to swim with whale activities in the Ningaloo Marine Park, Western Australia. First, let's talk about what is swim with whale. Swim with whale is a worldwide growing tourism involves swimming with whales. And how it is done is, first there is a vessel carrying people that drives close to whales in several ways. Then it would place swimmers into the water, then for the swimmers to swim with whales. And why we want to start this research? Unlike boat-based whale watching is being researched more, boat-based whale watching may cause behavioral effects on whales. But what about swim with whale? What does swim with whale may cause to the whales? So there was a research focused on humpback whales' behavior at Ningaloo Marine Park. The study species is humpback whales. Humpback whales is a worldwide common whale species that can be witnessed everywhere in the world at the coastline. And they migrate to Ningaloo Marine Park during July to October, and sometimes they were carrying their calves. The study site and time. The study site is Western Australia, Ningaloo Park, which is the blue area in this graph. And the study time is 2016, from August 1st to October 12th, which matches the time they stay in the Ningaloo Park. There are several things what we're trying to find out. First, does swim with whales affect the whale's behavior? And then, which whale approaching method affect the whales more? And the third, does swimming with group with calves affect the whale's behavior? We divided the whole swim with whale activities into 3 scenarios: before, during, and after. And before just means before swim with whale activities. Well, during starts from vessel approaching the whales until the swim with activities. And after means just after the swim with whale activities. While before the swim with whale activities, whales are usually either traveling or resting, so they can be divided into before traveling whales and before resting whales. In the during scenarios, different approaching types cause different consequences. So there are 3 vessel approach types. There are impasse approach, line abreast, and side approach. And I'm going to introduce them now. The first one is impasse. Impasse means a vessel drives ahead of whales pass before the whales turning in front of approaching whales, which is shown in the graph here. And it's usually used to approach traveling whales. And it's known for a more impactful type of approaching. The second is line abreast. Line abreast means the swimmers are placed ahead of the whales pass, and then the swimmers swim to the whales. And they're usually used to approach the resting whales. And unlike the impasse approach, they give the whales the choice to interact. And the third is side approach. Side approach, the swimmers are placed to a side of the whales, and then the swimmers will swim to the whales. And it's like line abreast. They also use to approach resting whales, and they also give the whales the choice to interact. So because line abreast and side approach are pretty similar, so they two are merged into the same approaching type in this study. And like I mentioned before, impasse approach are usually used to before traveling whales. So before traveling whales are compared to impasse approach. And side and line abreast approach are used to before resting whales. So these two are discussed together. We're also trying to find out the effects of the calves in groups. So there are 2 categories, with calves and without calves. And by the way, the definition of calves is a whale being a side of another larger one, or a whale estimated smaller than 70% of an adult whale. There are several equipment we use. We use camera to take photos of the whales to record their behavior. And we have a digital compass. We can calculate the bearings of whales, which kind of like their position. And we have a GoPro. We can record the timing of the whale's behavior, and we can take photos for us to check their behavior later after. And there are several data we collected. First is deviation index. Deviation index represents the predictability of whales' movement. It will range from 0 degree to 180 degree. If it's 0 degree, that means the whales are moving in linear, which is moving in a straight line. And if it's 180 degree, means the whales are moving in erratic ways, meaning it's more unpredictable. And the second is directness index. Directness index represents how straight their track is. It will range from 0 to 1. 0 means we are moving circular, while 1 means we are moving linear. And then there's heading. Heading means the swim direction of whales related to the vessel. It will range from 0 degree to 180 degree. If it's 0 degree, means the whales are moving right toward the vessel. And if it's 180 degree, means the whales are moving away from the vessel. And there's a swim speed. It just shows how fast or how slow the whales' swimming speed are. And dive duration. That shows how long the whales can dive under the water. And how the results are shown. First, we compare each scenarios, which is the before, during, and after, to the collecting data, which is the thing I just mentioned. There are deviation index, directness index, heading, swim speed, and dive duration. And we also compare existence of calves, which is with or without calves, to the collecting data, which is these data. And then we use the software R to calculate the significance differences in statistic. And if there's significance difference, that means the data are related, which means the one data set truly affects another one, and this is what we're trying to find out. And here's the result. And if there's a significant relative, we give it a check. So for example here, if impacts are significantly relative to before traveling whales in deviation index, then we get a check here. So here's how the results are. And in conclusion, we found out that impasse approach, they basically affect the before traveling whales a lot, only except from directness index. So we think we can basically say impasse approach affect the traveling whales' behavior. While side and line abreast, they basically are not significantly relative to before resting whales at any outfall. So we can say side and line abreast approach did not affect the resting whales' behavior. And the third, with or without calves, they only relative in dive duration. So maybe we can say the with or without calves does not affect the whale's behavior. So back to our question, what things we're trying to find out. Does swim with whale affect the whale's behavior? Well, like we just mentioned, impasse approach affect the traveling whale's deviation index, their heading, their swim speed, their dive duration. So we can say the answer is yes, swim with whale do affect the whale's behavior. Which whale approaching method affect the whales more? I think it's pretty obviously, and things like we just show of all the three methods, impasse approach do affect the humpback whales the most of all the three methods. And as for the reason, we find out that because the whales are moving, they're traveling, so the vessels have to speed up so we can move ahead of the traveling whales. And also because of the speeding vessel, the underwater noise will increase. So the both speeding vessel and larger underwater noise may disturb the whales. And then does swimming with group with calves affect their behavior? Well, just simply based on our research, the data shows no, because the existence of calves only significantly affect the whale's behavior in only dive duration. But however, as far as just based on our common sense, calves are usually more sensitive to disturbance, and especially for the humpback whales in Ningaloo Marine Park, because they have to grow up fast so they can migrate with their parents later. And so theoretically, we still think groups with calves should be affected by this human behavior. So our suggestion, since in-pass approach and swim with the whale calves might disturb the whales, so we suggest that regulations of in-pass approach type and swimming with whale calves should be revived. We should really see if in-pass approach and swim with whale should be allowed in the swim with whale activities, and hopefully this can help reduce the disturbance to the whales. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
What does significantly relative means? I just can't figure out this figure. Yeah.
If there's a check, that means the data are significantly relative. So let's take this one as an example. So if there's a check here, that means the thing here, the column here, in-pass are significantly relative to before traveling whales in this data. So if there's a check here, that means the in-pass approach are relative to the traveling whales in heading here. And yeah, so does that helpful?
Okay.
What the main difference you think when the whale have the calf?
You mean what are the difference between the with or without calves?
Yeah.
Their behavior?
Yeah.
Oh, because I think humpback whales are migrating animals, and they're also calves. So the calves need to grow up fastly, so they need enormous energy. And if we keep affecting them, like swim with them, so I think they kind of get affected and show their different behavior. Like here, they will dive. They will dive longer. Our behavior disturb the whales, so maybe they were trying to look for a way to run away from our human. I think that's just my idea.
Okay.
I'm curious about how they collect the data and the sample size. I mean that is the researcher can onto the boat, or they just let the other commercial boat vessel company help them collect data.
Oh, actually, they have their own boat, which is much smaller than the vessel of the commercial swim with whale activities. So there are scientists on the boat to collect their data. But there are also some people on their commercial boat. They also collect data on that boat. So there are people on two boats, actually two vessels, so they can collect more data to increase their results.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you say they will have different boats.
Yeah.
To collect data.
Yeah.
So how do they know they won't repeat collect?
They still collect the same data because they're basically following the same whales, but the reason why they do the research on both vessels is kind of like they're trying to make it more precise, so there will be no deviation or some kind of errors happen. I think that's just my idea.
My question is, I would like to ask, because they collect data for during traveling and during resting as well, right? Because you mentioned, but do you have any tables that shows the significantly relative?
You mean how they are significantly relative?
Are there any results?
Well, yes, but they just say they are relative, and they basically didn't tell us why. But I think it has something to do with the p-value, which is the statistic. When the p-value is smaller than 0.05, that means the data set are significantly relative, and that's, as far as I know, that's
okay. So they only show data for before traveling and before resting?
No, there's just a graph.
Oh, okay.
I think Henry has tried to. I actually wanted to show the original paper because he has greatly simplified, I think, because the original paper was full of this kind of graph. Right, okay, was full of this kind of graph, and he chose to present a summary table, which is okay. However, I think it's a little bit too simplified, okay? So my major comment for this is, it is good that you have provided this table. However, in this table, we did not see, because in previous slide, you have presented a nice graphical explanation, description of the parameters that you measured, right? So we know, I was expecting to see some numbers because you talk about numbers here, right? However, at the end, it is a summary table without any number. So, or even direction, like for example, deviation index will increase or decrease. That means direction, okay? Here you just provide check, 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 or no check, right? So I would suggest that next time, because you have enough time. So my suggestion is next time, you choose one of these original graph. You only need to choose one and say, okay, this is the original, how the original data look like. However, they are not that easy to read because the graph contain too much information to be easily digested. You can say that. And then you provide this summary table, and then instead of check, maybe you can provide direction, like how would that increase or decrease. And when doing so, it would be great if you can reuse this nice summary to remind us what the index means. Because the index, it is not easy for us to understand, like a deviation or directness. You might say, I have said that in 2 previous slides, but we already forget, okay? So the audience is very easy. They easily forget what you said. So you can use these nice cartoons to remind them again. And then, so that's my major comment for this talk. And you also presented smoothly without looking at the script. That was really nice. But you did not really look at the audience during your presentation. It will be good that next time you can, from time to time, look at them instead of look at your slide here. Okay, because I think your language ability is good enough so that you don't need to look at anything here. You can look at them. And I appreciate all these cartoons. So these give a sense of style, and also these graphics, they also all make the talk more easily to follow. And okay, so these are your purpose slide, okay? Yeah. So therefore, I think my major comment is for this table. So next time, show some raw data, and then explain this table with the cartoons. So it's easier for us to know, okay, how the behavior really change, instead of just knowing there is influence on the whale. So we know how their behavior will change. Okay, so thank you, Henry.